Howdy, everyone. Oh, it seems like it's lightening up a little bit. Okay. Seems like I'm so far away. We don't mean to be. We don't mean to be. But if y'all could say something in chat for me and let me know that you can hear me, that would be great. Oops, just showing top chat. Oh, thank you, Pamela. All right, cool. Well, bonjour, y'all. sorry for missing a video this week. Just got tied up with the trip, and to be honest, I'm just exhausted right now. But it was a great time. It was a great time. So cannot complain. Hello, Aiko. Glad you can hear me. Okay, cool. Thank you. Let's see. Looks like we're starting to get some folks coming in. Hello, Janie. And we have, I can't get this right either. We have Miss Freya. Well, Freya, you gonna say hello to? Well, maybe not. I'm blurred. Well, I don't know. My internet connection should be pretty good. Let's see if I've got. Let's see. That doesn't really. Jose, oh my God, 110. Ugh, just yikes. I lived in Melbourne Beach for a couple of years. I shouldn't say a number of years, for a couple of years. And that was, I didn't mind. I mean, it was on the Atlantic coast, so it really wasn't that bad during the summer. But yeah, it seems like it's getting just hotter and hotter. Oh, maybe let me see if I put the shade down a little bit. I know, Miss Freya, you're not happy about. Well, howdy, Ty. I'm glad you could make it. All right. Well, glad everybody could come in, and and again, if you get a chance to click the like button, that would be greatly appreciated. Let's see. Rasa is saying, I don't know that you are blurred, but light behind you and the light coming in. Okay. Well, I've got the light behind me because the first live I did, I didn't have that light there, and it just seemed like it was so dark in here. Once it turned like after 9, maybe 9:15, something like that, when it gets dark in this part of the world. So, oh, bonjour. Hello. Oh, hello, Sue. Thank you for joining. Appreciate that. But no, I guess tonight was just going to, and I apologize. I am really, really tired. The hotel was not so great in Lyon, and so I did not get much sleep whilst away. And but in any case, I am back, and I've got some video snips I'm going to show. I didn't the video I'm going to put together for Lyon and Dijon are not, it's not a travel vlog, and so I just wanted to kind of showcase what was around, and what was there type thing, and kind of using some of the trams or the metro and things of that sort. So that's what the videos are going to be about. And really loved both cities. And yes, I did see somebody made a comment. And hello for all those that just came in. Appreciate y'all coming in. But anyway, the hotel I stayed at, not great. Would not recommend it. Staff super nice. Everybody was very nice there, but the beds were uncomfortable. And I've stayed at other French hotels. And I don't remember this being an issue, but they didn't have either washcloths or hand towels. It was just towels, and I just thought that was kind of weird. So it's just like, well, okay, I guess. And so because I didn't take anything with me other than, like personal products and that, but I didn't take any soaps or shampoos with me because typically hotels have those. And this one, they had a soap that you could use for both hair and body, but not great. The bed was awful. So, oh, hello, Denise from San Francisco. Oh, hello, Susan from Italy. Ciao, ciao. Good to see you. Um, well, maybe it is because I am kind of sleepy. It's not a bad trip to Lyon. It was I think it was 4.5 hours on the way up with a 47-minute layover in Montpellier, and then on the way back we came into Narbonne, and it was like a 5-minute transition. It's like, and just made it to the train to get down to Perpignan. So that was a bit of a challenge, but there are more trains that come into Perpignan from Narbonne. So even if I'd missed that train, I know that there's another one. When I went to visit Abby up in Agen with Chateau Chronicles, my train coming back was delayed for 70 minutes at Carcassonne. I don't know if somebody got hit on the tracks ahead or if something happened up ahead. And so just sat there for 70 minutes. And of course, I missed my connecting train back to Perpignan. But nonetheless, it worked out fine. You just wait for another train and hop on. So let's see. So let me just see if I'm missing, and apologize. I just want to see if I'm missing anything in the chat here. Hello, hello, hello. Howdy, Medusa. Oh, Jim, howdy from howdy in Narbonne. Was just at your train station this afternoon for about 7 minutes. Yeah, Susan, I'm going to have to. I guess I'm just going to have to remember just to take something with me that, along with shampoo and my regular stuff that I use. So, hello, Colin. Hello, E. Corey. And Janet saying hi to Freya. As Freya's trying to be somewhat cooperative. I also had a little bit of a fall, so I ended up getting a little bit of a bruise on my hand. This is a hand I'd broken in when I lived in Seattle and was practicing tennis. And the pro across from me it was just a group practice session. And the pro across from me decided to start hitting it much harder. And I went to go for it, and was not able to, my legs were not keeping up with the upper body, and I ended up falling down, and I ended up getting a fracture in this hand, and there's nothing they could do about it. So anyway, I'm assuming that right now I just have we'll see what it's like tomorrow, but this is day 2 and it's not that bad, but just a little tough to try to hold on to things. Sue's asked, Jeff, did your roomie watch Freya? No, actually, Richard and I both went up to Lyon because we're both looking at relocating. So it's either potentially Lyon or possibly Dijon, but Lyon really kind of is beating it out right now. It just looked like a really fun city. So that with lots to do, which is not surprising. I mean, it's I think the 3rd or 4th largest city in France. So but just a ton of public transportation options, and even during the summer they run until midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, so that's nice. So and Josephine in England, hello. So anyway, yeah, and I met Suzi and fired up in let's see, I think her channel's Fired Up in France, and so I met her in Dijon, and she was super nice. Took us around just kind of a tour of Old Town. Really a beautiful, I mean, not that I wasn't expecting it to be a beautiful city, but it was so much more than what I was anticipating. And just a lot of the Ducal Palace and all the Napoleonic buildings around and everything, just beautiful. And the trams were nice, but you can't beat, I think Lyon has at least 9 trams. And the metro stations I was in, just kind of getting used to riding around and going to see what they were. Um, it They all have like art installations, and I mean, I now this was like 20 years ago, maybe a little longer. When I was in Paris, I remember going into the metro, and it just smelled like a urinal, and was awful. They were just plain subway tiles and all that sort of thing. And maybe over the years they've changed that. But Lyon they've really put some effort into making the metro stops nice. They're and they're clean. They're brightly lit. They have artwork. It's cool. It's just cool. And so I went on 3 or 4 of the different metro lines just to kind of get used to what they were like. Checked out some of the neighborhoods. And so I didn't really do any of the touristy. The most touristy thing I did was I took the funicular up to the Basilica of Saint Jean, and then went over and saw the Roman amphitheater ruins. They looked like they were getting set up to do some sort of stage production. So let me see. Anyway, those were cool. Those were very cool. But I didn't really do a lot. I didn't do any like boat trips or anything of that sort. I just was really more interested in seeing what the different neighborhoods were like. So let's see. Rocky, hello from the UK. Hello, Rocky. Bonjour, y'all. Let's see. Janet, Dijon, you know what? I actually saw his video on the rankings of was it? I think it was top 10 cities in France. And neither Perpignan or Lyon made it on that list. And Dijon came in at number 1, which I totally get. I mean, Dijon just was a beautiful city, lots of parks, beautiful parks. Just really cool things to go see. I just think that Lyon will offer more opportunities for things. So let's see. France imports. What is making you want to leave Perpignan? We're thinking of moving to Serre in January with our 2 dogs. Serre it's a beautiful village. They have a museum of modern art, I think, there. That's also very nice, and that's where Patricia Brooks, the Courage Catalyst, is also there, and she does some walkabouts of Serre. That's very nice. It's just small for me. I don't, that wouldn't appeal to me, but it certainly appeals to several people. It's a nice place. To answer your question about why I'm thinking about leaving Perpignan, it's just that, excuse me, I just really want more public transport options and that run later. I don't need to live in the city center. I don't need to live in in Lyon. I wouldn't need to live like in the first arrondissement. I wouldn't need to live in town, as long as I live near a tram or a metro stop. And then that can get me around the city plenty fine. So I know some of the people there were kind of complaining that they didn't much care for the trams because they took so long to get you somewhere. But I'm like, if I were commuting to work, that probably would become more of an issue. But I'm not, so it doesn't really matter how long it takes me to get somewhere. But I thought they were fine. JMR, ice your hand when you get off this chat, helps a lot for healing quicker. Repeat every hour. I did ice. I did ice it for a while when I was, and I also ended up getting this kind of bruised up a little bit right along here. But I did ice them up a little bit right after it happened. So I think that's helped out quite a bit. But you're right. I probably should get some more ice just to make sure. Then let's see here. Let's see, Elizabeth, take ascorbic acid, vitamin C helps with healing. Oh, okay. Well, I do that, so maybe I'll just check into maybe boosting that a little bit. Susan, glad you liked Lyon. I'm thinking about heading there in a week or so. It really was a good. Now I will say, there were a lot of places that were closed, and so for vacations, and so that was kind of surprising. That like the hotel I stayed at was right next door to Les Halles Paul Bocuse, and the halls that the famous hall there in Lyon that every travel vlogger goes into and wants to showcase. And when I walked in there, it was at least 50% closed. So and I'm assuming it's vacations. Maybe it's just the wrong time of day that I went. But and the beautiful stuff. They still had a lot of stuff there, but come around 4:00 in the afternoon, most of the places were closed. And I don't know, maybe some of the restaurants open up again at 7. but it just was surprising to me that, unless people, and maybe the vloggers get there like at, 8 o'clock in the morning or 9 o'clock in the morning and get in there. But I was just in the process of trying to get around the city. So by the time I got there, it was a little bit later in the afternoon. So that was just disappointing that it was like, okay, well, no point really videoing any of this because it just shows that most of the places are closed. And there were several of the shops going along some of the streets, walking along the streets, that they just put signs up that they're on vacations for a couple of weeks in August. So late July, early August. So just keep that in mind, Susan, when you go, that there probably are going to be lots of places are open, all that sort of thing. But it's just that you might run into that. I will say the Basilica was not. It certainly had a lot of people there, but it wasn't as crowded as what I was expecting it to be. So when we got to the Funiculaire, we got on, at the last bit of the people getting on for that trip, but there wasn't like this long wait to get onto the thing, to get up the hill. So let's see, Monica, how accessible are Lyon metros? They're very accessible. They have obviously mostly stairs, but they do have I can't speak to every metro stop, but at least the major metro stops should have at least either an escalator and an elevator. So I never took the elevator. So and sometimes the escalators weren't working, as they do everywhere. So, but they did have other options other than just having to do stairs all the time. So let's see, Mike. Oh, hey, Mike and Lynette. nice to see you all again. In Paris for a few days, then back to the States. Meeting up. Oh no, it was a pleasure to meet you guys. I hope you had a good time here in Perpignan. But oops. Okay, Sue here. I like Dijon when I visited in February, but winter was just too cold. Oh, Sue, I lived in Wheaton. I don't know which suburb you lived in, but I lived in Wheaton for a number of years and lived downtown for a number of years. But I lived out in Wheaton, western suburb of Chicago. Living in town for my initial month, I decided the noise was just too much. I'm sure it is, kind of noisy, especially in some of the squares that are, that have a lot of traffic going. They seem to be pedestriarizing a lot of the square areas and that. So that was nice. But I'm sure there's still a lot of noise from people just mulling around type thing. But I don't know that I'd want to live on a, like downtown Dijon. But certainly for affordability, it's much more affordable than Lyon. And they are supposed to have long, kind of cold winters and that sort of thing. But I'm okay with that. I don't suffer from seasonal depression, seasonal effect. Well, somebody in the chat, I'm sure, can put it in, but I don't have that disorder, seasonal effects. So that, and living in Seattle, just you kind of get used to it being cloudy and rainy, type thing for quite a bit at the time. Yeah, and the cold doesn't really, as long as I'm not having to spend €1,000 a month, or considerably less than that, but on heat, the rest of it's okay. Let's see, Janet, but Marseille made the top 10. I've heard a lot of good things about Marseille. I know it gets a bad rap for being, like, I guess they consider it to be kind of the high crime city in France. Probably above Paris, I suspect. But, so I don't know if it's kind of the New Orleans of France, but Marseille gets quite a bad rap about that, but I've never been. It looks like a pretty city, but I've never been. Leah's asking, do the neighborhoods appear to be affordable? I probably some. I don't know any particulars yet on it. I've got Valerie. She's the estate agent I use here in Perpignan. She's going to put me in contact with an agent there that will, help kind of give me some ideas to what rents are in the different areas. I'd heard that I'm not going to pronounce this properly, but Villebon, the Villebon neighborhood, which I think is kind of northeast side of the city, is supposed to be a really affordable area type thing, and it seemed like there were a number of expats that kind of moved to that area. But again, I don't know specifically. I went to Croix Rouge, which is the old silk weaving area that is now kind of a bohemian kind of vibe to it, very artsy and that. And that was a really cool area. I don't know how affordable it is, but it's not right next to the city center. It's not far away, but it does have a metro that goes there. So, and that was interesting riding that's the sea line that goes up to Croix Rouge, which is on a pretty big hill. And so taking the bus up there initially, when I left the Basilica and the Roman amphitheater, came back down on the funicular, and that gets you right into a D station for a metro stop. And then I just took that to where I could get, so I'm trying to remember. No, I took D to another stop on the D line, got out of there, went up and got onto the number 35 bus, which would take me to Croix Rouge. And that was kind of interesting. Their bus network, all the tickets work the same. So if you buy a 24-hour pass, you can use the trams, the metro, the bus system, and that includes the funicular. Which, if you don't have a ticket, I think the funicular was like 350 euros. 3.5 euros, I should say. So, but that was included in the ticket price that I paid for the 24-hour ticket. And I want to say the 24-hour ticket was around 7 euros, something like that. So if you get a couple rides out of it and, walk around for a little bit and then go back and eat, or then get back onto something, it certainly paid for itself. But, and they're very easy to use. I mean, it was just, they've got kiosks there at least at the tram stops and probably at the bus stops, or probably everywhere. And you just get a little card, which I don't think I have mine out in front of me here, but I'll put that in the video that shows the little card that you get, and you can recharge the card. So I think you pay a little less. I want to say it was like 6.5 euros maybe for another 24-hour period. If you're just recharging the card. And that was a fairly simple process to do. So, but in any case, Lyon, the public transport was awesome, and a lot of people use it. The buses were probably the least used, but certainly people were on them. But definitely the metros and definitely the trams. It was pretty rare to not have either of those systems busy. It wasn't that I couldn't find a seat and all that sort of. Maybe once or twice I had to stand for a while, but generally once you get past one of the train stations, that empties out a lot of the people. So, in any case, let's see. Lindmer, Dijon and Lyon would have the cooler weather in 4 seasons that I would look for. Yeah, that's the primary reason. Kind of looking at that area is that it does have more distinct seasons, and I know a lot of people complain about Perpignan that live more north, that this area and probably like Montpellier and all that are just too hot. And I mean, having lived in Austin, Texas for a number of years, and Atlanta gets a bad rap, but really Atlanta's not. I've never found Atlanta to be that bad. But Austin to me was like living in an oven. So this was not nearly as bad as Austin, but it does get it's a lot of sun. It's just a lot of sun, and it's a drier climate. So I don't mind the drier climate. I don't mind the slightly warmer weather, but I would like to have more, which kind of maybe sounds strange, but I would like to have more rain, type thing, where I just like the sound of it, and it's calming sort of thing. And every day here just seems to be sunny. Every once in a while we get rain. So let's see. France imports, better transportation makes sense. How does it cost? How does it compare cost-wise? I didn't do a whole lot of checking. They do have like the Carrefour cities, casinos, super utiles, the little and I didn't go into any big grocery stores, which of course they will have those too, the big versions of them. But the prices at the smaller stores that are intercity seem very similar to what they are here in Perpignan. It's not, a couple of things that I purchased were not. I didn't find to be any more super expensive than what they were here, because prices here vary quite a bit from store to store. So depending on which place you go to, You get a better deal on this or that sort of thing. So the transportation, the tickets, I think if you didn't buy a pass for getting on the bus or the tram and all that sort of thing, I want to say it was like €2.10 or something like that for a ride. So that's more expensive than here in Perpignan, but Perpignan only has the bus. So if you just walked on the bus and just wanted to pay cash for the trip, it's €1.50. The ticket being good for an hour and a half, something like that. And it seems to be very similar in there type thing. They seem to really turn people away from wanting to pay. And I don't even know if you can actually pay in cash because they don't want that holding up the tram or the bus or whatever type thing. So it seems like they're very insistent that you have a ticket. So you probably just have to buy it from the vending machine that's right there. Let's see. Does Lyon have? Robin's asking, does Lyon have dry weather? I would say probably not. It was beautiful while I was there. Now this week, I guess it's supposed to get pretty hot again. There's another heat wave coming through that area. Perpignan so far doesn't look like it's going to be really that affected by the heat. We'll be back in the mid to upper 80s type thing, and like low 70s at night, 70, 72, something like that. Lyon, what I like about Lyon is even if it gets to like next week, now I don't know, I'd have to go back and see what happened earlier in June and July when we had the significant heat waves come through. But what I like about what it looks like now is even next week, if the temperature was supposed to be like 90 degrees for a high during the day, the nighttime temperature got to like 62. So I don't so much mind it when it's hot during the day, but if it cools off at night, that's ideal for me. I'd be perfectly happy with that. Let's see. Petusima. I know I never get your name right. We'll say Pat. Hi, Jeff. Who took care of Frey while you were gone? One of my friends here stopped in a couple of the days type thing. I told him it didn't have to stop in every day, but I just gave him my keys, and he came in like Thursday and Saturday or something like that, and made sure her food was. Frey doesn't eat very much, so I just primarily wanted to make sure that she had fresh water and her litter box was cleaned out. So, that they took care of that for me, and I really I'm taking them out to lunch tomorrow for doing that for me. Let's see. To tag on, Sue is telling me now also add vitamin E and zinc. Powerful trio. C, E, and zinc are a powerful trio. Okay, well, thank you, Sue. I'll look into that. Right now it's not that bad. I'll find out. This is the day after, so it's we'll see what tomorrow's like. But Elizabeth, fun fact: every time I visit Washington D.C., the Smithsonian Museum has been closed. Really? Wow, that's odd. That's a significant undertaking for them to do that. But wow, that would kind of especially want to go. Let's see. Janet asked, did you taste any particular Lyonnaise or Dijonnaise dishes? I'm trying to think. I don't think so. The first night Richard and I were meeting friends that had moved to Nice. We're actually up in Lyon for a few days prior, and they were leaving on Thursday. So we met them up on Wednesday night, and we went to a Lebanese place, and that was really, really good. It's a younger couple, well, middle-aged. They're certainly younger than I am, but that run it, and just that was great food. But I'm trying to think, I don't think we did anything that was necessarily Lyonnaise. I know that they have like the pralines and all the brioche praline stuff and all that, and they certainly still had that, en masse around there. But I just didn't partake in any of that yet. If I end up moving there, of course, I will take into that. But yeah, I didn't hit any of the bouchon type things. I was really more focused on just and it was walking a lot, and that was part of the problem that I had. The reason I fell was because I tripped. That my legs were kind of giving out a little bit on me. That for me, walking, I've been trying. I should have built up to it type thing, knowing I was going to do a lot of walking in Lyon and Dijon. But we ended up doing like 14 to 15,000 steps a day. And for me, I normally do maybe 3,500, and that's just a huge jump. And so by the time it got to around dinner time type thing, it's like I just, either something small or just something, just, I think, let's see, I had a kebab. When I had the Lebanese meal, had a kebab. We ate at a Pan Asian restaurant one night, which was really good. And I don't think the last night, I think it was just kind of like we were both just on our own sort of thing. So, we're just getting tired type thing. So, but France imports. It's August. France closes down for vacances. Yeah, and we knew that. We knew that. It's just it was just so kind of surprising still walking around. It's like, wow, that especially that the Les Halles Paul Bocuse was, it was like, and it was right next to the hotel, and it was like, okay, this would be great. I'll be able to do a video of this and show my perspective and all that. And I walked in, it's like, okay, what the hell? I'm not going to be able to do anything with this. So anyway, no Les Halles visit type thing on this trip. So let's see. Leah, oh, that is right, Jeff. August is the month everyone closes business in France for holiday. Do you think you will return to Lyon again prior? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's not that long of a trip to get up there. So, and obviously once you get there, we got into the Perpignan train station. There are 3 main train stations and seems like several other kind of ancillary train stations around that do a lot of the territorial trains type thing. But Parache, Perpignan, and Saint-Exupéry, something like that. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing it. But the Saint-Exupéry one is out by the airport, like right next to the airport. And that one is the one that the friends from Nice ended up getting into. And there is a dedicated tram that takes you from that train station into Perpignan down to downtown area. Their hotel happened to be near the Parache train station, which was further west, kind of on the peninsula, not kind of, it's on the peninsula. And so, but we went into Perpignan, which turned out to be right next to a huge mall that, like Galerie Lafayette, H&M, Decathlon, just seems like hundreds of stores were in that. Just an enormous mall. And actually, when we first got out of the train station, it was the first time for me in a long time to see, which this is going to sound kind of dumb, but for me to see tall buildings. It was like, oh my God. And it's not like Lyon. Lyon certainly is not it's not Chicago. It's not New York. It's not any of that. But to see buildings that were like 40 plus stories, and there were like 3 or 4 of them, like I said, not a lot. But it's just like, wow, well, okay. Tall buildings. This is cool. So, but yeah, there certainly things were closed because of the vacations, and that's to be expected. But that part of it didn't really bother me that much. It just was more of a matter of I just wanted to explore. So everything else ran fine, Let's see, Janie, who took care of Freya while you were gone? A friend here in Perpignan came over. I gave him the keys, came over to the house and checked in on her. Details about the fall. Well, it was just stupid. As they typically are. The hotel that was staying at, which is the Ibis Hotel Les Halles, because right next to Les Halles, and I was just coming out the front, and they have a bit of a, it is a walking hazard, but it was something dumb. I was just in my flip flops walking outside just to walk out from after having breakfast, and there's a dip in the floor right before you get to the main door, and like a carpet, and then it dips into this thing, and my flip flop just got stuck on that, and down I went. So it was totally my fault. So that, but anyway, they were all very kind, coming out to help and all that sort of thing, and they got me the ice and some sort of astringent that I was able to put on some of my legs. So, but that's the fall. There's nothing. It's just Jeff being lazy walking around. My legs just weren't operating at 100% then. So let's see, Alex. Lyon is wet in the winter and hot in the summer. Yeah, it. I will say maybe it's just an anomaly, but it was beautiful weather while I was up there last week or this week. 70s, sunny. Now Dijon was a surprise that it was also beautiful weather and unexpectedly torrential rain. So Suzi had arranged lunch for us at Au Grand Cafe in Dijon and arranged a table, reservation for a table. And so we went over there at noon and sat down. And just after we ordered, it just unleashed. And it was supposed to be sunny. I didn't see anything in the weather forecast that was going to be any rain. And it not only rained, it was like torrential rain for quite a while. And then by the time we were done, it had started to let up. But it was just still sprinkling. And that was a surprise. But fortunately, we were done with the walking tour and all that. So that was that. Let's see. France imports. What will you miss about Perpignan? Did the wind and the heat get too much this year? No. And look, I don't want to make it sound like Perpignan's bad. Perpignan's a perfectly nice city. It's just I just want something with more transportation options than a bus service that stops at 7:30. The other option would be moving into city center, and which I could do. And the thing is, Perpignan is very affordable, so that's the big draw. And of course, it's the dry weather and the sun and all that. So the access to the med and all that type of stuff. But none of that's important to me. I don't. I'm not a beach person. I don't. That's not. I'll go out to it, but it's not something that I'm like, okay, this week I'm going out to the beach and I'm going to hang out and read a book or something. I would never do that. So it's just not how I'm wired. So I would rather have other weather. I would miss my friends here, but I'm sure we'd see each other. It's not, again, it's essentially like a 4-hour trip, so it's not like it's that big of a deal to come back down to visit people. So, but no, the winds have never really bugged me. I mean, they certainly do get, high. It definitely gets very, very windy at times, and but honestly, it's never. I especially don't mind it when it's hot out, because then at least it doesn't seem like I'm just sweating when I'm walking around type thing. So let's see, Janet, if you decide to relocate, do you have a rough departure date? Not yet. I mean, it probably wouldn't be until at least spring of next year, possibly the summer. That we'll just have to see how it kind of plays out with things. So I'll have more information once I talk to kind of an immobilier and the estate agent there, and just to see kind of when are the times for getting more options and better times to do things, if it's when students are gone or when students are there. Whatever, because just that it all plays into the whole thing. But what's nice is it doesn't have to be immediate. I mean, obviously it's not like I'm like, oh my God, I got to get out of Perpignan. So I like the house I'm in. I do like the area. I like the friends. It's just that I just want some more things. So sad. Yep, that's it. Seasonal affective disorder. Yep. That's what it is. JC, I know about Seattle weather, I bet. Let's see. Greg asks, Bonjour. So after your trip, are you leaning more toward Lyon now? Yes. Yeah. No, it's not for certain. Certainly not. It depends on what comes back from, like, can I afford it? Sort of thing. So if it turns out that it's like, okay, well, everything is going to be well over what my budget would be for doing this, then it's not it. I would have to think that's unlikely. I mean, there have to be people there that are not multimillionaires, sort of thing. So, just and are able to live. So as long as I can find something that doesn't, make me house poor, then I'm probably going to go ahead and look to do that. So let's see, Linda Villurban, 20 minutes east of Lyon or the 3rd and 8th districts, southeast are affordable areas for rentals. Oh, okay. Third and eighth district southeast are affordable areas for rentals. Okay, okay. Well, thank you, Linda. I'll look into that. Hello, Lady Hetfield. Howdy, howdy. Let's see. Oh, and Sue stayed there and she loved it. Okay, well, that's good to know. JC, Atlanta's just humid in the summer. Yeah, it's humid. I really thought Chicago was, well, and DC. When I lived in Washington D.C., that was probably, that was an awful summer too. Um, but Chicago to me has awful winters and awful summers. I mean, there were plenty of times I walked outside and just couldn't breathe. Now, I never had that in Atlanta. I mean, it just, yeah, it got humid, but it never was like, oh my God, I can't, I've taken my final breath. Let's see, France imports. How about housing rental costs? Well, that's what I'm going to find out. It is more expensive, um, and certainly more expensive to live in the city. So than Perpignan. I mean, Perpignan is going to be one of the cheapest places probably to live. That's a city and not not a village. But I just had to find out what the pricing looks like and see if it's going to be affordable. Let's see, Karen. I feel exactly you, Jeff, about the rain. I live in what's an arid forest in the mountains of Southern California. We get hardly any rain, even though we get the four seasons, including snow. Yeah, I just like the idea of having some more rain. I mean, I really don't want snow. I'm sure it'll snow every once in a while, but and it's supposed to get cold there. But oh, and actually, my husband says Lyon gets very cold in the winter. Yeah, and you know what? That's okay. I'm more built for cold than I am for heat, so I don't so much mind the cold. So Linda's like, for those wondering, the second Presqu'île and sixth district of living are the most expensive, followed by first and fifth. Yeah, but with all those areas, yeah, those certainly would be very expensive. They're beautiful areas, but I'm sure it also comes with a beautiful price tag. Let's see. Let's see, Judy. I visited Lyon for 5 days in June. Was pretty hot. Yeah, I think all of France was boiling hot in June. It was fun to visit, but I don't like that they don't seem to have good grocery or household stores. Um, okay, well, the stores they had there, at least for now, I can't speak to the household stores because I didn't go. I saw that they had Auchan and they had some of these other ones that are more householdy type things. But I went into a couple of the small supermarkets and they, and again, my needs are probably different than yours, but they totally had things that I would be fine with type thing. And the prices didn't seem to be any much different than they were here. Hello, Rob from Southern California. Howdy, howdy. I'm sorry if I'm that far behind. Let's see, Ico, there's probably a senior citizen public transport discount. Yeah, there is. And I'm close. But I'm not quite there. So yeah, that's the thing is like the monthly expense for transportation was pretty pricey. It was I want to say it's like 74, 75 euros for kind of unlimited rides on metro, tram, buses, things like that, which is, I have it here in Perpignan, and it's 245 euros for the year with, unlimited rides on the bus, sort of thing. So that works out to what, 22 euros a month, something like that, maybe 25 bucks. And, so that was, it's like, oh, okay, that's fine. The only time I really ride the bus is when I need to go get something at a store that obviously is not walking distance, or I'm just going in for lunch or meeting friends for lunch or something like that. In Lyon, I would have to probably ratchet, because if it's €2.10 for a trip, I would probably at that point just pay the tickets each time until it became to the point where I got close to spending, because I'm not commuting, I'm not going to work. So it's not, I don't know it's going to be worth that. Now, once you're over 65, which is in a couple of years, but once you're over 65, I think it's like 37 euros a month for an unlimited pass. So still kind of expensive, but it's a lot of options. So, at that point it might be worthwhile, but certainly before that, and because I'm not working, I don't know that I'm pretty sure that I wouldn't actually get the monthly deal, because it's like that seemed kind of expensive. Let's see. Gary, do most people in Lyon speak at least a little English? I had zero issue with anybody that I was dealing with. There was a couple of them that, couple of people at some random little shop type thing that maybe didn't speak a lot of English, but they, between my French and their English, we were able to communicate without using a translator. Um, but really, most of the people that are working in the local restaurants and things of that sort speak some English, and some speak very good English. So it's, kind of to be expected. The cities, especially if they're touristy, are going to have a higher percentage of people that speak English, and they do. They do there. So English was far more spoken in Lyon than it is in Perpignan. So let's see. Janet asked, "Did you see anyone swimming in the Saône?" No. Well, no. I didn't see anybody swimming in it, but I did see them like paddleboarding and canoeing and boating and that sort of thing. So, but I can't say that I saw anybody swimming in it. But I don't know if they can. I would imagine you can. Let's see, Rasa. Are there other locations you are also looking at? Oh, this is Julie. Okay. Not right now. I don't know that, because I probably would be better suited for something in like the north of the country. So, Brittany or Normandy or somewhere in that kind of region sort of thing. And I know that the weather is supposed to be very gloomy and rainy and cool and all that. But again, I don't mind, I don't mind that type of weather. Since I really avoid the sun here most of the time, always looking for the shady path to walk and all that sort of thing. So, and I'm not saying that Lyon's going to be, my toes up, that's my last stop in France. But right now, that's what I'm kind of targeting, just because I think I really want to try more of a bigger city. Paris, I don't have any interest in doing that. But Lyon, certainly seemed like a nice place. And I like that and there are going to be a lot of, the whole thing about doing the train network and that's the big draw here in France and in Europe. But the ability to connect with Italy, Germany, Switzerland, going off to, Belgium, whatever type thing, and Paris, Paris is obviously pretty close. Excuse me. So that's what I like about Lyon is the connectivity with high-speed rail. You can really get around pretty easily. So let's see. Augie, dang it, late again. Howdy, Augie. Glad you could make it. Let's see, JC, how was the safety around the train station at Part Dieu? I will say that there were a lot of what appeared to be homeless. Well, okay, I'll ratchet that back a little bit. There were more homeless people and there are homeless people in Perpignan that kind of hang around the train stations and all that too. I personally did not feel unsafe, but I never walked around at night. I didn't try going through the train station like at 9:00 or 10:00. It doesn't strike me as being dangerous. It wasn't like it was gangs of people or anything like that. It just seemed to be predominantly homeless. And they were, and they seemed to be gently requesting money, not just like, running up to you and yelling. Now there's probably some people there that do run up and yell at you, but I never felt unsafe running around. But of course, I'm 6'4", so it's not, it's never really been that much of an issue for me. But in any case, I didn't feel unsafe, but it wouldn't be a place that I would be like, okay, I'm walking past Part Dieu at 10:00 at night, type thing. So let's see. Oh my gosh. Okay, sorry, I'm getting well behind. Elizabeth, access to the med would be very important to me. I believe in good healthcare, and that's absolutely, this is great access in Perpignan. It's if you have a car, it's obviously faster, but without a car and taking a bus, I can be out at Cannes at the beaches in Cannes in probably half hour, 40 minutes type thing. So Rose, sounds a dream life. Know there are life happenings, but oh, what a chance. Yeah, I just, I mean, I do have my limitations. It's not, I mean, I wish I was wealthy, but I'm not. So it's just, I'm not, having to pinch pennies, but I'm also not actually just, I can't just be throwing money away either. So, um, so I just, so I do, but I do have flexibility, and I'm very grateful for that. So, Patrick, you will definitely get a wide range of weather conditions in Dijon, and some will be challenging. Another place nearby that has good transport connections is affordable might be Besançon. Yeah, and actually, Suzi did Suzi and Fired Up in France, Suzi. Uh, she did a video on that city too, and that looked pretty cool. But the downside to me is it's the connectivity, and it's kind of the same way for Dijon. Yes, I can get down to Lyon. It's closer to go up to Paris, things like that. But I'd lose some of the other connectivity. I'd have to go through Lyon to get to some other places and that. So, Winnie, hello from Austin. Oh, hello, Winnie. Glad you could join. That let's see, Lady Hetfield. Oh, sorry you have sad. There's a lot of people who do, so I certainly, I realize that's the case. I don't. So let's see. Linda used to live in Lyon. Happy to answer questions for me. Oh, okay, cool. Appreciate that, Linda. Oh, Pamela, I'm no longer blurry. Okay, awesome. I appreciate that. I'm not sure what's happening, but let's see. Kathy lived in Noonan, Georgia, now near Savannah. The humidity is all. I used to live in LaGrange, Georgia, for a number of years. Yeah, I was on the lake. I was on West Point Lake, but it was. I don't remember. It certainly was humid and all that sort of thing. But I worked from home, so it wasn't. I kind of worked in air conditioning and got in my car. So aside from mowing, it wasn't that bad to me. Let's see, Elizabeth, I wonder what the climate is like in Valence and Avignon. Well, Valence, I went through today coming back. Yeah, the train stopped in Valence to pick people up and drop people off. It can't be much different than Lyon in that, but it is getting a little bit further south, so maybe a little less cold in the winter type thing. So, Conan the Barbarian, one of two. If one makes a large 401k withdrawal while living in the U.S. and says one moves to France, say August, September, can one safely assume France will not charge income taxes since one has lived less than 100? Conan, that I not being a financial professional, I can't really answer that for you. That's a great question, and that does seem to be a potential issue. I would definitely talk to a tax accountant about that. And they have them here in France that deal with American expats and all that. So, but yeah, I would have to defer that off to somebody. I suspect there's some truth in that if you time it such that like that, then you're not a tax resident, that you won't get, you have to declare that as income in France. But take my word as a grain of salt type thing. It's not worth the paper it's printed on. But that's my thought. Let's see, Linda. Lyon has a lot of great grocery and household stores, plus an IKEA not too far away. Yeah, that IKEA looked absolutely enormous, but I didn't stop in, so just. But no, Linda, that's good to know. Alex, in a lot of cities, public transport is free for citizens over 70. Too bad you're too young. Well, I'm not a great deal distance away from 70, so appreciate that, Alex. But yeah, I just I don't know if it's free, and I haven't heard anything about that in Perpignan or in Lyon for it being free. But it's certainly get a discount after 65. So Georgia and Florida very humid. That is quite true. Let's see, Echo. The Lyon annual public transportation fee for 65 is $180. I have to look into that because it was showing on the trams, and I think on the buses too, that it was like 37 euros 10 for a monthly pass. So if you were 65 and older, I mean, that'd be great if it is 180. I'll have to look into that. So that makes it much more attainable type thing. So, but I would certainly have to look into that because the one that was like 74 euros for less than if you were I think less than 65, and just kind of weren't a child type thing. That I think that was the 74 euros a month. Let's see. Jenny, I visited Lyon on January 2025 and it was freezing. Beautiful city. Went to the park and museum. Ate the most delicious food, but I was pickpocketed on Old Town. Very stressful time. Oh, yeah. Well, that's a shame. Yeah. Unfortunately, people like to pick on tourists and pick on people they think they can just get away. It's a shame people do that. But, sorry you had to go through that, Jenny. I'm sure at some point I'll probably have to go through that too. But right now I just try to do my best to make sure that I have a hold of everything. So Mitty, hello, Jeff. Have you considered Nice? Yeah, Nice looks very beautiful, but it's out of my budget. But and again, it's sunny and hot and all that sort of thing. And I'm certainly not trendy. I'm not going to be, fashionable, kind of blending in with those folks. So let's see. Monica, Leo looks interesting. Yeah, Leo does look interesting. I think at this point, I just kind of want to kind of slowly step up to northern France. Just kind of like, okay, maybe from Perpignan, which is about as far south for a city. Well, it is as far south for a city as you can get in France. And then, Lyon's going to be quite a jump up. I'm trying to get this here, a jump up. And then, Leo will be like, well, up here sort of thing. So I think if I just stick with this for now and then just see how that goes, that might be a candidate in the future, but right now, and then Mitty's also asking about Strasbourg. I'm sure there's a friend of mine who had been to Strasbourg and absolutely loved it. And Miss Freya found her treats. And, but again, to me, it's just, I'm sure it's beautiful, but it's one of those places where it's like, I couldn't see myself living in it. Just, I really want more of a city. So Mark, hello, Mark. Let's see. I try to avoid the sun as well, looking at Lille as a possible retirement city. I've heard very good things about Lille. I've never been, but certainly people make it sound like it's a great place. So, oh, and by the way, let me do a reminder just in case somebody hasn't. If you wouldn't mind hitting the like button when you're watching, that would be greatly appreciated. That helps with this YouTube algorithm-ish crap that they've got going on. So, Sue in Italy, I'm looking into La Rochelle for a month or so to get rid of the heat here. Yeah, that La Rochelle looked like a pretty area too. I don't know, and again, I don't, coming off the Atlantic, it's probably a much more pleasant summer, but it's for me, it's going to just be more connectivity. I'd rather, because I haven't lived in Europe, so I just really want to be able to explore more without having to take 3 or 4 hours to get out of someplace. So let's see. Deborah just joined. How can I see the whole live stream? I think you can go. I don't know how they work with the actual live streams on. I think you can go back to the beginning and obviously it's not live then, but and then catch up to the live, or just wait until it's been published. It usually takes a day or two for it to process things so that you can see the live chats and see these other things, but that's all behind the scenes with YouTube bits. So, but if you want to watch the whole live stream, I think I always post them on my channels. So you just find them there and you watch it there. Let's see, Janet, I just learned it's illegal to swim in the sun. Okay. Well, there we go. That's why I didn't see anybody actually doing that then. Let's see, Myrna, bonjour from San Diego. Bonjour, y'all. If you move from Perpignan to Lyon, will it be easy to find new doctors, transfer your prescriptions, etc.? Well, the prescriptions won't be any issue. I mean, they're French prescriptions, so I can go to any pharmacy and get those refilled. Finding new doctors might actually be easier. I say that, but might actually be easier in Lyon than it is in Perpignan. but I haven't tried it yet. So actually, I'll probably get onto Doctolib and see. I'll just kind of scroll through and see what kind of options I have for people who are accepting new patients and all that stuff. But the thing is with Doctolib, it can be very helpful and it can be a pain in the ass. So it's it's just the way it is with the software. So it's not very accurate on, like, if you really need to find somebody who speaks English. I found that the identification, I think their criteria for the doctors, do you speak English, is like, can you say hello, and my name is, sort of thing. So it's even more rudimentary than what my French was coming here. So that so I wouldn't go by, if you look at Doctolib, I wouldn't go by, I need English speaker and I need this sort of thing. It's like it's you really probably have to just experience the doctor to see if it is true, type thing. So but in any case, I don't, to be honest, I don't know yet. So I wanted to go see Lyon to see if it would be something of a potential candidate. Since it is a candidate, I will go through Doctolib now and just see, what kind of options there are. And again, it really kind of depends on where I would end up living too, that I wouldn't want to just randomly pick a doctor and then it turns out it's going to take me, well, it doesn't really matter because I'm retired, but like 45 minutes to an hour to get to him or her, just because I'm in the opposite side of the city or something like that. So we'll see. I didn't have too much difficulty here. The problem that I've been having here is that sometimes the doctors, and it's probably the case in any city, that but the doctors will tend to be like, oh, I'm going to now either retire or I'm moving to someplace else. And it's like, well, okay, and it doesn't seem to be like there's any like referral service. So it's like, if my GP leaves, that she's like, okay, well, Jeff, I'm going to refer you now to this guy, or whatever type thing. It's just like, well, I'm not taking appointments now. So, just have to find somebody else, and, au revoir. So anyway, it's like, okay, well, that's part of the game. You have to put up with it. So, oop. I'm just trying to scroll a little bit. Let's see, Corey, I'm considering Biarritz, but still have lots to learn about the area. I too lived in Seattle and tend to avoid the sun. Yeah, Biarritz is probably very nice. Again, probably going to be true. Biarritz itself is probably very expensive, but I don't know if Bayonne or some of the other surrounding towns might be more reasonably priced. But of course, it also depends on your budget. You may be very wealthy and just decide that that's going to work great for you. Let's see. Patrick, Lille, that's a place that is not on everyone's radar, but it's a nice city with excellent transport connections, both rail in the city and nearby Brussels airport. Gloomy winters, though. Yeah, see, I don't, and again, just to kind of reiterate, is I don't mind the gloomy winters. It's like sun constantly is actually more detrimental to me than having some rain and some gloomy weather sort of thing. So let's see, Alex, Valence and Avignon have a Mediterranean climate, windy, mild winters, hot summers, and lots of sunshine, just a bit colder than Perpignan. Yeah, and actually Perpignan was a little bit cooler this winter than what I was expecting it to be for the south of France, but certainly nothing bitter. I mean, it just was cooler than expected. Let's see, Monica, I'd love to connect with an immobilier in Lyon. Any recommendations? I don't know if Linda might have some sort of recommendations for that. I don't, like I said, I'm connecting with my realtor to see if she's got any connections there to get it. But as soon as I find somebody and I like them, I'll pass it along to y'all. Let's see, Elizabeth Monish, Freya. Yeah, Freya found her treats. So that Jenny, oh yeah, thank you. She's and I know some people are just like, can you bring her to the camera? And it's like, Miss Freya is not a pick me up kitty, type thing. So she's very nice, and she'll come up. She likes to be rubbed and scratched and all that sort of thing. And she'll come up and lay on me. But as far as picking her up, I think it just triggers her into be like, I'm going to the vet, or Jeff's going to be trimming my nails, and neither of those are things that she particularly welcomes. So let's see. Sue, heading off to walk the dogs. One more thing before bed now. Skeeters. Well, Sue, I don't know if you're still on, but I hope all goes well with your dog walk and you don't get eaten up by the skeeters. Oh, let's see, Deborah. Thanks. That I missed the first part. I'm going to Lyon for October. Oh, nice, nice. Well, I hope you enjoy it. I certainly like the city. I love the public transport they had. I mean, I rode all over several of the tram lines. I did a few buses, not a lot of buses, but I did a few buses and rode most, if I don't think all, probably not all of the metro lines, but just to kind of get used to what they look like and getting in and out of the stations and just how you going to live here type thing, and is this going to work for you sort of thing. So, and they certainly did. I really enjoyed them. Let's let's see. Linda, she loved Lyon and hoped to move back soon. My poor French language skills. I got by, but didn't feel confident. And again, I guess it just depends on what you're doing, sort of thing. But I have to say that everybody that I interacted with, now granted it was for 4 days, either wanted to talk in English or were happy to put up with my French. So, and they were very kind, very kind. So that. Let's see, Mark. Sorry if you already talked about this, but are you learning the language? I'm using Duolingo just to get some basic vocabulary. Yeah, I actually I use Italki, and that's the I have a link in the descriptions of the videos and all that. But that I really like that, and that's essentially the tutor portion of what you're talking about. You schedule a time. You find there's all kinds. There's all kinds of languages they cover. They're going to sponsor a video in the future that'll be coming out in August. Well, I guess now this month. So I'm working on that right now with them, but which I'm very grateful for. But anyway, I find that to be very helpful because I can actually talk to somebody who is a native speaker of French, and of course I'm paying them for their time. But it gives me more confidence of talking about things that I want to learn about, not just, because I've been through the basics and all that sort of thing with high school and college. But and of course, a lot of the stuff is gone away. But I don't want to get bogged down with grammar. I'd rather learn words and context. And so Italki seems to help out a lot with that. So, but I had Duolingo and I used Duolingo for a little bit, but it turned out to be like I was just kind of zooming through the lessons just because it was like a refresher for me type thing. And it wasn't, and of course they're all kind of pre-programmed into what you're learning. And it's like, well, this isn't going to help me when I'm trying to if I get a flat tire or if I have some medical help or something like that. So that's why I focus more on somebody that has more of a tutor capability. Let's see. Lynn Marie, a city you might want to explore in Brittany is Angers. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it. The greenest city in France, won accolades as the first green city for quality of life and biodiversity. I'll have to look at that. I think that actually was one of the cities that was on that top 10 list also from that French realtor. I don't remember his name. But he's a British fellow that does kind of property reviews and things of that sort. And oh, Patricia, hello. Oh, I don't know if you're still on, but I hope you are. That Patricia Brooks, the Courage Catalyst. If any of you really you want some help with actually how to go about getting ready to come to France and making the move, reach out to Patricia. She's a good egg. Let's see. Patty asks, "Are you making French friends?" Slowly. The part of the thing is that I don't work in an immersive environment, so I'm not around a bunch of French people to make French friends. So, but like I'm friendly with the neighbor. The one side of me is a Airbnb. The other side is I think she's a widow, but anyway, very, very nice woman. Does not speak a lick of English, and but making friends with her, and of course my real estate agent's French. and I'm friends with her, and her husband's British. But but yeah, I'm not. I wouldn't say that I've got just a lot of lock on making French friends. It's just that I don't have a lot of access to them right now, and that's one of the things with like going to Lyon is I think there'll be some other ways that I could meet people and not just always expats. So let's see. Maya, hi, I'm like, hello. Glad you could make it. Let's see, Karen, I would say overall, France and England is warmer than last summer. As a friend lives in Vimoutier, 2 hours south of Caen in Normandy, and has dealt with much warmer summers. Yeah, I think I would imagine it's just getting warmer and warmer. So that let's see. Logdus apart. Oh, so Linda's saying Logdus apart ambiance is a good immobilier in Lyon. Oh, thank you, Linda. Thank you for sharing that. Let's see. Oh, Leah, congratulations, Jeff, for getting a sponsor. Well, thank you. That it's weird. It is weird because you have to write a script. So it'll be on a video about learning French, and what my trials and tribulations and any successes and things of that sort. But and it's only a 2-minute blurb that goes in there for them. But it's very kind of them to reach out to do that. So again, it's not like I'm not making stacks here, but it any bit helps. So I'm just appreciative of that. So. Linda, the hard part not being fluent in French is dealing with service staff, repairs, installations. Absolutely. Yeah, that's the part that I want to get better at is that, when somebody, because they'd love to call and deliveries love to call you to see, are you there type thing. And I still, every time the phone rings, is like, okay, because I know they're not going to speak English. So, the best I could hope for is they have some sort of translation that they can do. But in any case, yes, and an immobilier is a property agent for rentals or sales. So it's a real estate agent here. So let's see. Oh, Patricia. Oh, you're quite welcome, Patricia. No, that let's see. I think we've made it through. I think I've caught up with everybody. But anyway, I just wanted to say that just going up to Lyon, very glad I did that. It really is a nice city, even with a lot of things taken being kind of closed for August. But it certainly is on my list. So, John, hi Jeff. Oh, hello, John. Got here late and we'll have to go back and rewatch as Lyon is on an area of interest, but looking forward to reading, hearing about Dijon. That of the two cities, Dijon was the one that was a surprise to me. Not that, again, not that I wasn't expecting it to be a beautiful city and all that sort of thing, but the amount of medieval architecture, Napoleon architecture, the Ducal Palace that's there, the size of the old town was just remarkable to me, and the amount of shops and things like that. And again, I'm not a big shopper. I don't spend a lot of money on things, but it's just nice to see that it just appeared to be really doing well. And they had some beautiful parks right next to the train station that you can walk through that get train you on how some of the various grapes that grow in the region, some of the rocks, the history, back to Roman times and all that, and just very cool to get around. And they do apparently, and again, Lyon probably does this, and several cities probably do this, but they'll do like free art exhibitions and just like in the Ducal Palace and some of the ancillary buildings around it, sort of thing. And it's just really cool. So I'm not going to write off Dijon by any stretch. Suzi did a great job taking us around and showing around the old town and all that. but right now Lyon's kind of the one that's still winning out. But well, I don't see any more questions, so I think we've made it through everything. I hope I didn't miss anybody with that. But with that, I guess you just, if you can hit the like button, that would be greatly appreciated. And appreciate everybody showing up. And sorry that I'm kind of kind of tired tonight, but it's just been a long 4 days, and that bed was awful in that hotel. So let's see, Judy. Thanks for the chat, Jeff. Looks like you're doing fab. Judy and Smyrna. Oh, well, thank you, Judy. That I'm doing fine. It's just a little tired. Just a little tired. And let's see, Elizabeth. Thanks to people in the chat. Thank you, Freya. Video like, thank you, JC, and thank you, Lulu. I'm glad you were able to make it from Alaska. And Elizabeth, thank you for clicking. Appreciate that. And but anyway, appreciate everybody showing up. And like I said, I'm going to try to get the video out on my trip this week. I'm going to try to. It's a lot of clips to try to put in the thing, but in any case, I'm going to try to work on that, and then we'll have another live next weekend, and we'll just look forward to catching up with you all again. So in the meantime, I hope you all have a great week, and let's see. I'm just trying to make sure that I'm not missing anybody's questions. But no, I really appreciate everybody stopping in and staying for a while, and always look forward to these. Love to catch up and chat. So anyway, thanks everybody for coming in, and we will see you next Sunday. Au revoir.